Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I want to ask you a question, which is, can Verdansk save Warzone? Because I personally think if anything can save Warzone, it's Verdansk. As many of you already know, the Call of Duty's brand, especially the Call of Duty Warzone brand, is kind of in the dumps right now. It's not very popular. It's in a bad state. A lot of people complaining, not just on Reddit. Player counts are actually going down. But classic 2020 Verdansk is coming back in a Warzone update so huge it might as well be called Warzone 3. It's launching early on April 2nd and it'll be live to everybody by April 3rd and is essentially a huge rollback to the 2020 launch features of the original Warzone. I'm actually planning to be up early and live stream this with my 2020 Nostalgia Squad, so I hope some of you tune in. But for today, let's go over all of the news, all of the reveals, all of the gameplay details and stuff that was put out on the COD blog today. I'm going to offer my opinions, which, as a spoiler, are going to be largely positive because we're returning to something that I genuinely like. So first one's a little bit of a negative though. Omni movement is returning, but it's been scaled back a lot. Omni movement from Black Ops 6 is not entering into Warzone as we know it, but rather it has been considerably scaled back and slowed down, and the developers have said that they designed it to fit the game. So I hope that works. I kind of, even though I say it's a negative, I'm kind of on board for this because I do feel that Warzone, if we go back to 2020, it could be too slow, but if we take what we've got now, it could be too fast. So I'm happy if we find a nice little medium, though I think I would be happier if the pacing was a little bit closer to the original Warzone than to the current Omni movement. Player counts going up to 150, which I also generally preferred better. That's 150 real players, but there's also a mode called Battle Royale Casual, which is 28 real players and 120 relatively easy bots. Some people would be mad about this, but I think it's good because at least it's being made very clear up front which modes have bots in them and which ones don't. Modes with bots are separated into their own modes. If I don't want to play with bots, I don't have to do that in my own game, but if there are casuals, it's a great place for them to go and practice and have a casual experience, so I'm all here for the way that they've managed that. You can still shoot during free fall, so you can pull out your little Glonk pistol and just go pop people on the way down, and we can have those aerial warfare fights that we used to have back in the day. Supply boxes are reverting to their original shape and colors from Warzone 1. We're not going to have quite the variety and wildness of supply boxes that we have now, but they will have a lot of loot, which we're about to dive into, oh yeah, right now. Number one change here is that floating loot is returning. The loot that, like, when you kill somebody and it just kind of pops out in a big circle and you can see their guns and their secondaries and plates and ammo and stuff all floating, that's coming back, and I'm a big fan of that. I thought that was a really good feature. I liked it because I could identify what the person had almost immediately and know whether it was worth the risk for me to go loot them or not, and it was really easy to just look down, look at a specific thing, grab it, pick it up, and go. Re-kitting is kind of a part of the combat loop of most Battle Royale games. Apex Legends does this with how fast you can loot the boxes, but I do like it to be a little bit skillful instead of arbitrarily complex and annoying, and I feel like the floating loot was the better way to handle that one. On the topic of loot, the original armor satchel is returning. I think that was like from Season 2 of Warzone. I'm totally here for that. I really don't like the complicated vest that we have now. Just having an armor satchel sounds great to me. They are adding, this was not in 2020, high-value loot zones. They're coming back from Modern Warfare 3, and I think that's a perfectly reasonable and fun feature to add to Verdansk for a little bit of variety. The buy stations are reverting back to their original menus and operations, so the buy stations are going to be in the exact same places that they were in 2020, and also the same menu items, so the same type of redeploy, buyback, supply drop. Not as much stuff. We've added a lot more to them in recent iterations of Warzones. We're rolling all of that back, though the dev team did tease you cannot buy Specialist. But Specialist is hidden somewhere on the map, so I'm going to be looking around for it. I thought Specialist was super fun. It was also really difficult to get to, so I'm very here for it returning as long as they keep that acquisition difficulty high. All of the equipment is returning from 2020 as well. You're going to have the original set of tacticals and lethals, so like throwing knives instead of tomahawks, thermites, C4, heartbeat monitors, Simtex, stuff like that. But you're also going to get the original streaks, the original operator, and the original extras that you could buy from the stations. So you can do things like buy munitions and armor boxes and self-revives and stuff just like you used to be able to. And the original streaks. Just the old, the trio of streaks from Warzone 1, very simple, very easy to use, cluster, airstrike, and UAV. I think you can also buy the plantable turret upgrade thing, but nobody really uses that, let's be real. I thought the initial balance of these 3 streaks was great, so I'm happy to hear that it's returning. I do know they're adding more as the season continues, probably to test it out. And in-game public events are also returning, very similar to how they were in the original Warzone. You've got Firebreak, Jailbreak, Restock, and loadout drops will all be happening on the map kind of randomly at different times to make sure that you, the player, get enough variety in your murder experience. By this point in the commentary, it shouldn't be surprising to hear that the original gulag is back as well, so I'll be fighting other men in the showers once again for my opportunity to return to life. The original vehicles are coming back. That includes the extremely powerful cargo truck that was very important for a solo player. For those of you that get stressed out or irritated by the trucks, keep in mind that 1 RPG or 1 C4 makes them instantly dead. They also don't do very good with thermites. Thermites do quite a lot of damage to them if you stick the truck, and if you stick the driver's seat, you can kill the driver as well. But the cargo truck is coming back. I hope they bring back the truck mode where it was like Mad Max. The helicopter that was really fun and easy to fly is returning. And the team has also included plans for interior and exterior ascenders that have different performance metrics. So I guess it's slower, faster, easier, or harder to push into buildings in certain ways. All of the ascenders on the map will be original, with exceptions of a few areas that have been changed, and we're going to go into that in a moment. But the dev team talked about we don't want redeploy balloons everywhere, we don't want zip lines everywhere. They're kind of scaling it back and trying to keep it a little bit more grounded, which again, I'm totally here for. There's a ton of quality of life features being added, like showing how much money somebody has in the buyback menu. So you can buy back a teammate that definitely has the cash to buy back another teammate. They added a detailed death recap widget that shows you all of the effects that you were under, if you were spotted by a UAV, if you were pinged, who was shooting you. So you really understand very well how you died. And also, since we had so many issues with cheaters, you understand how they saw you. If the enemy has pinged you, or you're on the radar or the heartbeat monitor or whatever that it's picking up, well, you know they weren't hacking and seeing through walls. They just had better vision than you because they had better equipment. They added Inspect Weapon to view its attachments, which is incredibly useful because you pick up random weapons and have no idea what's on them. You can see your squad upgrades in the little widget in the bottom left-hand corner, which is also really good. Kind of lets you know what your team is packing. Plenty more small quality of life upgrades. In terms of modes, I know that most of the classic modes are returning, but they're also adding ranked play relatively soon, and then a 420 mode, which will probably be very fun for me. It seems like tons of classic weapons are also being brought back, though I think they're doing it in little batches. Off the top of my head, and well, really more off the COD blog, they're teasing the Kilo 141, which you'll get for free just by logging in at a certain time. One of my favorites, the CR56 AMAX, the HDR sniper rifle, and the Cali sticks. So you can go play the booty drums and beat people to death really well. You can get the Cali sticks for free as well for completing the whole like Verdansk event, which I know will take a little while. And I know that more weapons are coming in other batches later. We talked a lot about the gameplay features. Let's move on to the map details. The COD blog has a tremendous amount of details on the map, so I'm going to try to give you the best broad stroke summary of it that I can. The map is 95% the same as the original map. The team really emphasized that detail, that authenticity. They wanted it to stay close to the original concept and close to the original experience because they believe that's what players would like. But there were some areas that changed. Most notably, there were areas of the map where they made police stations a little more accessible by adding ladders. Since swimming is now possible, they added some zip lines and some piers to help people get in and out of the water. And there has been a considerable amount of work done to the lighting, both to make it look slightly different, but also to improve lighting quality for player acquisition. So the original Warzone was very bright outside, it was very dark inside. That's why people like the rose skin. This one, they're trying to keep that difference closer together. So the brightness difference between inside and outside isn't going to be as extreme. I kind of think that is an overall good thing. The train station is closed, and I know that a couple of areas have added additional ramps and a different, access points. This is primarily like really powerful power positions, things that are like way easy to camp. They're trying to add like 1 or 2 extra avenues in to make that a little harder, which if we're keeping 95% of the map the same, that seems fine. And if you can't tell from this video, I'm overall extremely excited to play this mode, and so far all of the changes seem very positive to me. If I were to make a fantasy list of how to bring back Verdansk, it would probably look a lot like this, to be honest with you. I think the dev team made the correct approach by trying to go with a compromised style of gameplay. They want to have just enough new stuff so that it's not, it feels like a copy and paste, but maintain a focus on that nostalgic feel of classic Warzone. And I'm being very serious with you when I say my impressions of everything I've seen so far have been extremely positive, both for the gameplay and the map. They're all changes that I like, and the things that are coming back are all things that I like, but I do have some lingering questions and concerns. Questions like, will my cosmetics carry over? All of them? Will this be the last Warzone that ever comes out? A better one is, how well optimized will it be? Will my PC be able to handle it? Will there be a new set of annoying bugs and cheats, or will that be fixed? How long can we keep the hackers out of it? I don't really have answers to these questions, and almost all of those questions and lingering concerns were derived from issues that came up in previous versions of Warzone. I'm really hoping the dev teams have kind of learned their lessons on a lot of these things, and that they're mostly going to be fixed at launch. That would be really nice. Guys, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.